finally, 100 years later, we make information and tutorial movie about the car, Blueberry. Yes, about wide body, it's Brabus, stock Brabus front spoiler, 500E front fenders, and we have 10 centimeters wider than stock rear fenders. It's handmade to get space for big slicks and drag radials, and we have homemade rear spoiler. Brakes comes from CL600, so I cannot have bigger brakes because of my rims, 17 inches. Yes. Wheels, it's OS Racing Futura, it's 12.5 inch wide and 17 inch. Usually I use drag radials, MH Racemaster 325 45-17, but it's so much rain in Sweden and they are really dangerous to drive in rain and wet surface. So right now in autumn I use regular 275. It's the widest you can get in Europe, the widest tire. But it's worked well on the street. Yes, what about the engine? The stock engine from the beginning on this car, it was 3 liters 12 valve M103. Then I wanted to try 24 valve 3 liters M104 980, and now we have 104 992 3.2 liters. So all those engines has the same reliability and straight, so you can use any of them. So, but we have most of the parts for this engine, and this engine has stock crankshaft, stock bearings. It has Turbobandit H-beam connecting rods, 2 millimeters shorter to reduce the compression to 8.7. The engine has stock pistons, but for the clients, we build with the forged pistons, heavy duty racing pistons. But this car, like I said, it's still stock pistons. So it's completely stock head with a stock head gasket, Elring, and it has 12-9 head bolts. Yes, and of course, if you like to rev a lot, you like high rev limit, you need double springs, because with stock springs, single springs, you cannot rev more than 6,800. With double springs, you can rev up to 9,000. With regular gas, I have rev limit about 8,200, and with E85 it's 9,000 RPM. Supertech is good stuff. And our Turbobandit heavy duty retainers and bottom retainers, because I like to rev a lot, like I said before. So, and then I have Enem camshafts, so I can move the power to the higher RPM, and it makes about 20% more power at the same boost, at higher RPM, but you lose bottom at a low RPM. So if you want to drift and play on the streets, you can use stock camshafts. For cooling we have 3 electric fans from SPAL because they're the thinnest on the market. It's 2 of pushing fans on the front of the intercooler and 1 big pull fan inside on the radiator. Yes, the car has no air condition anymore because we used to remove the air conditioner because it's too big. The stock air conditioner is too big and we want to use the best place for the intercooler on the front on the car. That's why the air conditioner is gone. And intercooler we have here is mega cooler. It's 500 wide, 300 high and 100 thick, 100 millimeters thick. We have big Evo radiator. It comes from the Mitsubishi Evolution, but you can use stock radiator as well. We have 2 of oil coolers, one for the transmission, the other one for the engine. And before we had them in the middle here, and we had some water temperature issues because they was cooling by 100-degree hot air from the oil coolers. So we moved them on the each side like this. It was enormous difference. Yes, EFI standalone management system. It's MS3X V3.0. We use it on all our projects because it has everything that you wish. It has even more functions than even other very expensive brands of the standalone management system. And it's very easy to work with. So then we have actually stock trigger wheel from the 4-cylinder M111 engine. It's the flex plate from the automatic transmissions. And the stock sensor, stock wear sensor. You can always use the trigger wheel that we have in the web shop on the front of the crankshaft. Then we have stock cam sensor, stock vanos. We have water temperature sensor inside the water pump. Ignition system, it's VAG R8 coils. Works very well and fit bolt-on in M104 engine. You have air temperature sensor here near throttle body. Nitrous is just for making starts and building some boost at the trans brake. We have fuel rail, we have injectors, 2200 cc injectors. We have fuel return to the tank. We have fuel pressure sensor inside the fuel pressure regulator to control fuel pressure. So if something happens, you can just shut down the engine before some damages happens. Fuel system, you see the 3 fuel pumps. It was before we knew how strong they were. So actually it's good enough with only 2. So you have the fuel rail, yes, one-way valves because with boost below 0.5 bar, only 1 pump in use. Then with boost below 1.5, the second pump goes in, and with boost above 2 bar, the third pump goes in. And the fuel lines is AN10 feed and AN8 return back to the stock tank. Here we have nitrous bottle, like I said, just for starts at the trans brake. And then we have some real bus. You can read If you're Russian, you can read. It's very good stuff. Turbina 90 millimeters turbocharger. TB90 FATBOY. It can actually handle up to 1400 horsepower, but it's not so usable for the street. So I ran with the smallest turbine housing. It's only 0.63 A/R to get some fast pull. So with this housing it makes maximum 1000 horsepower. We have 4-inch downpipe. We always use 4-inch downpipes for all our projects. Twin entry manifold, of course, twin entry to split the pulses from the X-house, so you get harder pulses all the way into the turbocharger, what makes much faster spool. Then we have 60 millimeters wastegate. The big wastegate is good for any goal and reason. It opens faster, it's closed faster, and you can much easier to control the boost. It's controlled by the valve, boost control valve. You can see this pipe goes straight to the turbocharger or turbina. This one goes to the valve, and the basic pressure is about 1 bar with the spring, and with the valve control it's up to 3 bar. 3.5-inch intake pipes, aluminum, all the way through the intercooler to the intake manifold. Our intake manifold, factory made, 90 millimeters throttle body, 50 millimeters blow valve, fuel filter near the fuel rail to skip all shit on the fuel lines, oil filter relocator, fuel pressure regulator. Then we have 5-inch air filter. Yes, here's the oil drain. How to install the oil drain? You just drill the hole in the oil pan above the oil level, and you just put it through the oil pan and just put the nut. Here we have some crankcase ventilation system. You have one crankcase ventilation down in the blocks that goes here, and then you have 2 on the head that goes straight to the pipe between the filter and the turbocharger without any catch tank. The crankcase ventilation pipe here between the air filter and turbocharger, it's actually inside this pipe, it's 2 small pipes pointing to the middle of the compressor wheel of the turbocharger to make turbulence effect and better sucking effect. Here we have some little guy that goes to the gauge inside the car, so I can control the vacuum pressure inside the crankcase. Okay, inside the car it's 500E stock interior, and some gauges and shit. What do we have here? Economically, you can use it for 2 different things. You can use it for the saxophone, or you can switch it to nitrous. I use it only at the start, at trans brake, to build the boost with the nitrous here, but we can go back to the saxophone. So here we have eco brake. Eco brake is actually some kind of more modern kind of trans brake. It's economical trans brake. So if I open the valve inside the transmissions, it lock first gear and rear gear. So I can pull full throttle and build the boost. And when I have enough the boost, I just release the valve and the rocket goes away. Here we have some kind of stuff. This is upwarming for the nitrous bottle. When I open this one, this gauge shows when the temperature is enough, it's activate the nitron system. And then I can open this button and get over 1000 horsepower, mostly with E85 fuel. But now it's autumn, it's cold, so now I run regular 95 gas, so it should be now with 6 to 700 horsepower. Like I said, this button is switching between the horn and economically nitrous, and this one is two different table tunes for E85 and for regular gas 95, 93. Here we have Android tablet. You can actually use both Android and Apple for MS3X. You can paint your own gauges, choose different colors and different shapes, so it's no limits. So actually I don't need those gauges anymore, so the next project will be with the tablet
inside there.
Yeah, inside there, yeah. Seven to 2.6 transmissions. You can see the oil pan is different. This extra tank is about 1 liter. It's for the trans brake valve, to get space for trans brake valve, and you can see the switch, the electronic for the switch for the valve, and the ECU for the transmission. You can actually do whatever you want. You have two different tunes, and you can actually tune. You can use it manually and you can use it automatically. As soon as you touch the paddles, the gears start changing. You can see it here. Then you can install how hard, how fast you will change the gears. So it's actually very good setup for both racing and street use. What do we have here under the car? And remember, this is everyday use car, so it's not medical clean polished under the car, because we live in Sweden and it's not so much sun here. It's most rainy and shitty weather, so be ready for some shit under the car. Rear subframe. The stock rear subframe, stock dry shafts 32 millimeters. The differential 210 millimeters, the big one with LSD. It's actually ASD with removed hydraulic on each side, but it's actually the same as ASD, LSD. It's about 25-30%. The differential has 3.69 gear ratio. It's yes, it's the highest gear ratio Mercedes has for those models. Shorted arms to get smaller wheelbase, to get space for those big slicks with 29/12 inch multi-link arms, uniballs, hedgehog, yellow racing suspension. Okay, Elring plastic bushes for rear subframe. Yes, the cardan is also stock, and you have stock flex disc. It works very well with automatics and transmissions. Before, when I had manual transmissions, I used to change them almost every day. But now, since about 8 years back, it's still the same disc. 3.5 inch exhaust system with one muffler, 2.5 muffler with a throttle controlled by vacuum and electronic. So as soon as you open the throttle opens inside the pipe. And if you're going on the highway and tired of the high exhaust sound, you can just lock it with a button inside the car. This movie, we're going to make different movies with different parts, with small details about the turbo kit, about the car, about the management system, transmission and everything. So it's gonna be like an explanation how to turbocharge your car, how to install the turbo kit. And I hope it's gonna be very helpful for you with Turbina.